You are listening to Resilient Life, the podcast where we explore the power of resiliency. I'm Nikita Ross. It is my hope that listening to this podcast will give you the tools to connect with and increase your resiliency. So join me on this adventure of self-discovery and self-love. Welcome back to Resilient Life, the podcast where we explore the power of resiliency. I'm your host, Nikita Ross, and today we're discussing a subject that so many people can relate to. The subject is the need for community. Have you ever felt alone, even in a room full of people? Or perhaps you've experienced the gnawing sense of loneliness when you needed support the most, only to feel like no one understood you. If you have, you're not alone. Today, I'll be sharing my personal journey of what it has been like for me to lack a sense of community and how it affected my life in profound ways. I remember not too long ago when I was navigating a significant career change. I was excited, but also a little terrified. And I didn't have a network to turn to for guidance or support. Without a community, I found myself struggling with various challenges. I had no one to share my thoughts and my emotions with, no one to turn to for advice or comfort. Most of my friends were employed, and I still am self-employed. So it was difficult for them to understand the process I was going through. We had two very different perspectives on work and what next steps for me could look like. The absence of a community connection made my decisions feel heavier. And without a mentor or peers or even friends who understood what I was facing, I found myself questioning my capabilities and losing confidence. Don't get me wrong, I had friends and people around me who I could talk to, but they didn't have the same lived experiences, and the advice and support that they offered, it felt incompatible with what I was experiencing. One of the biggest issues I faced was the lack of a sense of belonging. I didn't feel like I fit in anywhere or had a place where I truly belonged. That's because the lack of community also showed up in other areas of my life besides in my career. None of my friends are into or were into the hobbies or spiritual beliefs I am. So although I had friends, I was not feeling an emotional connection, and I wasn't feeling supported. Sometimes when we feel isolated, it's easier to fall into a negative mindset. The smallest of challenges can feel insurmountable, and the victories, no matter how significant, often feel less celebratory. Without a community to share my hobbies or a person whom I felt like who was on the same page and the same emotional maturity level, both highs and lows seem muted and less impactful. So, what changed for me? I realized that I did not need to wait for a partner or a best friend to discover myself and my new hobbies and interests. I thought that one person or a partner or a best friend could be the person who meets all my needs and all the different aspects of me. They should like all the same things I like. I, just like you, am multifaceted. And I realized that I can have different people for different interests or different parts of me. One friend may like volunteering with me at the animal shelter. Another friend may like going to religious ceremonies with me. And a totally different friend may like hiking with me. Instead of expecting one person to be able to connect all of my various interests and hobbies, I began to seek out communities both online and in person that resonated with my values and my interests, whether it was joining a professional group, volunteering, or simply reconnecting with old friends. I made a conscious effort to build a network, And I stopped looking for one person to fill my bucket. I realized that community is not just about having people around, but it's about having a sense of connection and belonging. And it can be very diverse. It's about creating a support system where you can share your highs and your lows, celebrate your successes, and lift each other up during difficult times. If you're finding yourself in a similar place of isolation, I encourage you to seek out a community. It doesn't have to be a physical one. It can be one online. It can be a group. It can be a club, anything that aligns with your interests. Join a volunteer program, attend events in your neighborhood, or even start your own community. You'll be surprised at how many like minded people are out there waiting to connect. Please remember that no one has all the answers. We're all just trying to figure it out. So sometimes some part of your journey is supposed to be walked alone. And lastly, the biggest lesson for me was that I had to learn to trust myself and not believe that a person outside of me could offer me advice, suggestions better than I could, because I am the one who knows me the best. I am the one I spend the most time with, and I am the one who has to live with my choices. I had to learn that one person can't and is not supposed to meet all of my needs, which led me to accept that is why I have a diverse community. It allows me to get to see and hear new and different perspectives. Remember, we all need community, and you deserve to have one that uplifts you. And if today's episode resonated with you, please subscribe and leave a comment. Your feedback helps us grow and reach someone who could use a little boost of resilience today. Also, remember to follow us on social media for updates and more content. Take care. I hope this episode gave you some tools to connect with and increase your resiliency. I'm proud of you. Let's keep up the momentum. Follow Resilient Life on your favorite podcast platform and on YouTube at Resilient Life Podcast. Until next time, be kind to yourself and others.